Here we go. We're live. Bum, ba-dum, bum, bum. Bum, ba-dum, bum. Still sunny here in Florida. Well, not sunny. There's still light out here in sunny Florida, but it's been raining. I've been doing a lot of walking on the beach and a lot of swimming. I've been swimming for about 45 minutes straight every day, or I break it up. Maybe I do 20 minutes here and then take an appointment and then jump back in again and go back in again. It's been really great. Hi, everyone. Hi, Elaine. Lisa. Hey, Lisa, I owe you a response. You asked me a question, and I kind of lost track of it. So it's coming. It's coming. So tonight we're in the letters A, Holy Cross Farm. Love it. Nice name for a farm. Very nice. Hi, Dana. Hi from Oregon. From Kentucky, that's Carrie. From Montana, that's Holy Cross Farm. Yes, thumbs up. It's great. Cindy, hi. Who else do we have? Another Oregon, Michigan. Yes, that's right. That's what I wanted to talk. That's what I'm going to talk to you. I'll write to you, Lisa, about hydrocephalus. And let's see, who else do we have? Angela, saw you 2 times in one day. Yes, now it's, and then I'll probably see you tomorrow. It's so much fun to see everyone. It's great. Michigan again, Houston, Ohio, Chicago. That's my kind of town. Illinois, Northern Illinois, wonderful. Hi, Nathalie from Joette's team. Wonderful to see you. It's great. This medicine that we're going to talk about tonight is actually, I mean, you can make it can be made homeopathically, but I like to use it in herbal form, tincture form. So I'm going to tell you, I use it a lot. Hi, heart. I'm going to use it. I use it in tincture form, and I use it for my mother, who is has Alzheimer's, lives with my husband and me, and she's my charge. And so sometimes she gets a little nervous, a little upset, and I give this to her. And so I'm going to tell a story about my mother before I tell you about the medicine tonight, because it kind of gives you a little insight, I guess, into my mother. Someone asked me the other day, how long has your mother had Alzheimer's? She's going to be 90 this year. And I said, since she was about 60. And of course I was joking. And what I mean by that, it's kind of an inside story, is because my mother was always pretty idiosyncratic and kind of funny, a little different than most. She was an incredible mother, very, very devoted to my brother and me, kept a perfectly clean house, made very nice meals every night, a hot dinner every night, and made us hot lunches a lot too. Even during the school year, we'd come home to a hot lunch. But, growing up in Buffalo's not a very big city. And when you grow up there, you end up knowing a lot of people. It's just the way it is in Buffalo. And so we would go out, my mother and I, maybe my brother too, we go shopping or something, let's say in a big department store. And if anyone's from Buffalo, you'll remember AM&A's. And we would go to AM&A's or Hangers or something, and we'd separate a little bit. My mother would be going one way and I'd be going another way. And I was maybe, 12 years old when this happened. And she did this all the time. She would never just kind of look for us and say, Joette, where are you? No, she would yell out, Joette! And it would be so embarrassing. And I'd say, Mom, please don't yell out my name like that. It's not like I have a common name. I know there could be so many people here I would know, and they know my name if they know me. It's just so embarrassing. You know how you're self-conscious when you're about that age. She said, all right. She said, but it's expedient. It gets you to me faster and we can get on to the next chore. So we continue going shopping. And then a couple days later, we went out again. And we went to one of those large department stores. And I heard, and we separated each other, and I heard from a distance, Dolores! I know that voice. I know who's calling me. So she had decided she was still going to do the screaming out in the middle of the department store, but she was going to change the name so that I wouldn't be embarrassed. However, I was still embarrassed regardless of the name that she chose to call me by. So from that time forward, my mother and I always called each other, "Hey, Dolores, come on, let's go," when we were going shopping. So when my mother gets nervous now, she can't sleep. Sometimes she grinds her teeth at this, yes, I know, it's crazy, isn't it? At this stage. And I don't know the reason why. I don't know that I ever really want to figure out exactly why this happens. But when this happens, I give her homeopathic medicine that we'll be talking about down the road because we're still in the A's. And we'll talk about it a little bit more at a later date. But I also give her this medicine, and it is Avena Sativa. Avena Sativa. It's actually oats. It used to be written, you can find it in a bottle like this. It's in an amber bottle. And so it's just, all you do is squeeze the pipette, draw. And when you do that, generally speaking, that draws up about 20 drops. And that's usually a dose for most adults, or for adults. Squeeze that up, and you can squirt it right into someone's mouth, but sometimes it has a terrible taste, or you can put it in their coffee or their tea or their soup or whatever you want to put it in. And it used to be called oat straw. I don't know why all of a sudden it's called oats in the common language, but its true name, which is a testament to how important it is that we know the Latin names, the true botanical names. So Avena, Avena, Sativa, Sativa, just the way it sounds, folks. Latin sounds is written exactly how it sounds. And in my Materia Medica, I have a very short area. It's not very long because it's kind of simple. It's not like a homeopathic medicine or when it's made homeopathically. It's just as simple as a nice herb. And I use this as an herb in tincture form alongside homeopathic medicines. It's a great complement. So sometimes when people have difficulty sleeping, I might use Avena Sativa, 5 drops twice daily, in the morning and then at night, every single day. Or if I see someone who has anxiety, it's also great for babies. Now with babies, you have to be careful because of course it's an alcohol, and you would use fewer drops and maybe dilute it a little bit more, and maybe use about less than half that you would for an adult. But the keynote is what I've written here in my Materia Medica is sleeplessness caused by nerves, but it can be actually anything caused by nerves. So because the curative action of this remedy is directed toward the brain and the central nervous system. So it's also excellent for when someone is trying to get off of a drug, whether it's a street drug or it's a prescribed drug. Prescribed drugs, in my estimation, are as bad as street drugs in many situations because they're legitimized. And people think that, oh, well, that must mean they're safe because the FDA regulated, but that's not what it means at all. Or my doctor, who's a good guy, gave it to me. People don't question it as much. So I do worry a lot about prescribed drugs, particularly those that are psychotropic or those that can cause trouble with addiction for, such as pain relievers. So it's a great medicine for backing off of that. It's not so much for cigarette smoking, although I have used it for that when cigarette smoking is a real problem. When someone's really trying hard. There are other ones. There's Caladium, Caladium, for tobacco or cigarette smoking addiction. Actually, it's tobacco addiction, so it's either whether it's smoked or chewed. This can help. Caladium can help. Also, tobacco, homeopathic medicine, tobacco. Now, when we talk about using tobacco for tobacco addiction, that's not truly homeopathy, right? We know that. It's really isopathy. We're using what causes the problem is what can alleviate the problem. But in most cases, we go to kind of the opposite of sorts. So it's particularly used for sleeplessness caused by nervousness and anxious exhaustion. So when you're dealing with let's say a family member or a business failure or work is overwhelming and the person just, They're so anxious, even in spite of their fatigue, they can't fall asleep. It's usually Avena Sativa. And it can be used as an acute, which means you can use it just for a short period of time, and just until the person gets back on their feet, so to speak, or back in their bed, prone. Or it can be used for a chronic condition, such as getting off of drugs. Now, when it comes to drugs, there are many ways to do this, and it's not as simple as, oh, somebody has a cocaine addiction or they have a heroin addiction, and you simply give them Avena Sativa and expect it to act. It doesn't work like that. There are others, and we use them in combination. We use them in tandem. So we might use Avena Sativa plus Nux vomica. We might use Avena Sativa plus Caladium for tobacco. We might use et cetera, et cetera. So it's good to know what the others are. We're actually going through that in our toxic course right now. And if you're not a member of that course now, don't worry, it'll come around again, and we'll be doing it again in a few months or so. So it's the mind is often unable to focus on any one subject. So it's boink, boink, boink all over the map with ideas and thoughts. And it's helpful for various types of performance anxiety. Now, of course, we're still in the A's. We got a long way to go to get through this materia medica, folks. But that's okay, because this is fun. And so for anxiety, anticipatory anxiety or performance anxiety, such as a musician, an actor, a child going on stage for a play, someone who has to present in front of a committee, an attorney who has to present one of his first cases and a trial. This can be a great medicine for that. We also use it with gelsemium, which is what's making me think that further on down the line we're going to be in the G's for gelsemium. Gelsemium, gelsemium, which is great for lack of courage. And that Gelsemium 6, and I've written about this on my blog, folks, so you can look this up. Gelsemium 6 twice a day plus Avena Sativa 5 drops twice daily is a great team for that anticipatory anxiety and anxiety that has to do with performance. So I've used Avena Sativa in tandem with, I've already said this, with other homeopathic medicines to aid in uprooting addictions, such as those stemming from street and prescription drugs, as well as, oh, yes, of course, how could I forget this? Addictions to coffee. There are addictions to coffee, folks, just so you know. There are a lot of coffee addicts out there. 1 cup a day is not an addiction. 2 cups a day, still don't consider it an addiction. If we're talking about, a cup. But if we're talking about a mug, and there are 2 of them a day, or there are 5 cups, 6, 8 cups. Now we're talking about an addiction, the kind of addiction where if somebody tries to get off of it, they get sick. They get headaches, jittery, can't sleep, get super irritable. So I had an aunt who used to drink a lot of coffee. And I've told this story before, but it's worth repeating because I think it's unbelievable when I think about it. Now, this aunt was my mother's sister already, so we kind of put this in context. So my aunt, I used to go to her house at night, and she would say, oh, I have this urination problem, and the doctor wants to give me this drug. And I said, so Aunt Mary, how much coffee are you drinking? I knew she was a coffee drinker, but I had no idea how much. Oh, she says, I don't drink that much. And so I went over to her house one day. She had one of those old-fashioned electric coffee pots, that you fill it up with water, and it's a percolator. And she had this thing going, and she had it filled to the brim. It makes 20 cups per day. And she was drinking 19 of them because she left 1 for her husband, my uncle. So she was drinking 19 cups of coffee per day. No wonder why she had a bladder problem. Truly, coffee addiction and coffee, over drinking of coffee, even sometimes in a small amount, depending on how sensitive you are, can cause bladder problems. So she was having leakage, and she'd always had a little problem anyway. But the more coffee she drank, and she was in her 80s when I went to go see her. I mean, she was really propped up by this stuff. So I helped her get off of drinking all the coffee. She was willing to do it because she didn't want to take another drug. Because, of course, the drug they give you to keep you from leaking and getting up in the middle of the night and urgency and frequency and all of that will also dry out your eyes and your mouth and your throat. And she was afraid of dry throat because she had experienced that before. So the reason she experienced it, of course, before, because she had taken the drug before. So she didn't want to take any more drugs. So we worked hard at it. And we did use Avena Sativa. We used coffea. Again, this is not homeopathy. It's exactopathy, kind of a made-up word. When we use coffea for coffee, makes it isopathy, and it worked. It did help her a great deal. The whole urination problem resolved. And I wouldn't say 100%, but it certainly wasn't the problem that she had before that would have called for her to take the drug. And chocolate. This is I've gotten calls from people who, and I've written about this a number of times and spoken about it, that around Easter or Halloween or times when there's a lot of chocolate on Valentine's Day, we've gotten calls in the office saying, oh my gosh, I think I'm having a heart attack. Oh my gosh. And it's the day after Halloween or around Halloween, or it's the day after Valentine's Day. And I always ask if you've been eating chocolate, and if it's a woman and she's about 40 to 50 to 60 years old, it's practically a shoo-in she's had a lot of chocolate. And it feels as though her heart is thumping and it's just going to jump right out of her chest. She's freaking out. She can't calm down. And I've used Nux Vomica for this. Nux Vomica. I've also used Coffea for this. Coffea for this. And I use these all in 200s. Or I've used Avena Sativa in mother tincture, which means, of course, it's in alcohol, and then 5 drops twice daily. But in that situation, when someone is going through an acute like that, where it's pound, 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 and oh my gosh, I can't calm down, and I feel overexcited, it feels like I'm going to have a heart attack, something serious is happening to me, then we might use that Avena Sativa, not wait till 12 hours later. Of course, we're going to use a little bit closer together. So we use it, put it in water, or sip it in some herbal tea, drink it down, wait a few minutes, and maybe take another dose of it. Because it's not homeopathic, we don't have to worry too much about overdoing it in terms of you overdoing homeopathic medicines. With homeopathy, we're kind of always looking for that space that fits just in a tidy fashion, and wait for the symptoms to show up in order to determine how often we should use it. But with herbs, we don't have to worry quite so much about that. They're a little more forgiving. And let's see, chocolate, because of its ability to calm the nerves, the nerves, otherwise known as dependency. Now, it can be for an addiction to chocolate and coffee, or it can simply be because the person had chocolate or coffee and was made sick from it, especially nervous excitability. So I'm looking for some questions. I would like to answer them. I didn't do that last time. I'd like them to stay pertinent to tonight's discussion. Hi, Adrian from California and Summerland. Hi, rural Missouri, Great Lakes region. Oh, someone says, I like my addiction to coffee. Well, listen, if it's not a problem, don't treat it. Enjoy. Just enjoy. Don't worry about it in the least. I, for many, many years, never had any coffee at all because I used to have difficulty falling asleep. Now, here's my cup. And I usually pour, I know this sounds crazy, but I usually pour about an ounce of coffee. My husband makes his pot every morning, and I pour just about an ounce in there, and I fill up the rest with hot water. I get the flavor, I get some taste, but if I have a full cup, I won't sleep at night, so it's not worth it to me. But for those who enjoy their addiction, no problem. All righty. Let's see what else we've got. Just sending in 6, that's right. Thank you very much for repeating that. Let's see. What about circular thinking? I don't know exactly. I guess what that means is over and over thinking the same thoughts over and over again. Yes, this could be very good for circular thinking. You got it. Absolutely. But it depends on how severe it is, or what, if it's worrisome. The person is worried. It's not just circular thinking and busy thinking about, I painted the room, but maybe I should have used a lighter color. Maybe I'll do a contrast on the ceiling or something like that. That could be Avena Sativa. If, however, that circular thinking has more to do with My sister told me something that I can't stop thinking about. It's about my friend. And maybe I should have said this to her. When I said this, maybe when she said that, I should have done this. I did it wrong. Why did I do that? It's a guilty conscience, even though it might not be a good reason to be guilty. It's a worry. Where is my son? Why isn't he home? I always worry about him. He's my charge. I have to think about him all the time, etc., etc. So when it's worry and anxiety, then it's going to be, although we could use Avena Sativa to calm things down a little bit, but more zeroed in on that one is Ignatia. Ignatia. And if it's homeopathic, when I give you these medicines, it's usually a 200C. So if I don't tell you, just know that across the board. Avena Sativa is not homeopathic in this case, but in others, Avena, Ignatia, Nux vomica, I use 200Cs, generally speaking, and then I use them twice daily. Let's see if we have any. Gelsemium, what potency is a 6X? If you can only find a 6C, that works too. Let's see, is only for anticipatory anxiety or any type of anxiety. If you are a very anxious person, I had thought Ignatia, but is this a better option? No, that came probably before I answered that. Okay. And how often would you use Avena Sativa? Twice a day, 5 drops twice daily of Avena Sativa, and with Nux vomica, twice per day. Also a good idea for addictions is to support. This is from a nutritional point of view, and I'm not a nutritionist, but this is what I've learned through the years, and that is high fats, high animal fats, butter, lard, tallow, avocados, high quality nuts, etc. Those are the kinds of things that can also help the brain and calm the nerves. And of course, the higher the carbohydrates and sugars, sometimes that can cause things to become a little more anxious provoking in some people. Let's see if we've got anything else here. What about addiction to sugar or food in general? That's a little different, because what we're talking about here is an addiction to a substance. I don't think of food as a substance unless we're talking about coffee or chocolate or alcohol. Those are substances. They have caffeine in them. Sugar's a little different. And we will be talking about that. That's if you want it sooner than that and you're feeling really strongly about getting that information, then we can easily you can easily go to Good Gut, Bad Gut, my course. But I've also written a lot about it too. I'll bet you'll find lots of information if you just go to my blog and look up sugar and sugar addiction. And Tina, nice to see you. Yes, I used to drink a full pot of coffee. Now I drink a small cup with a teaspoon of honey and a tiny bit of milk. Raw if I have it. You bet, Sylvia. You bet. Okay. And let's see, severe anxiety, insomnia, 62 years old, and it's doing me in. By all means, try this. Try the Ignatia 200 and read up on Ignatia. When somebody has insomnia, Ignatia 200 twice daily, and anxiety, that covers both, and this, and read my blog on Ignatia. I think it will help a great deal. Now, it doesn't mean that this is the only medicine. These are the only medicines. If I were to open my repertoire here and look up anxiety and insomnia, I probably, and I'm not going to look it up here and waste your time as I do this, but if I were to look it up, my guess is I would find probably for insomnia a good 20, 30 homeopathic medicines. And for anxiety, now it depends on when the anxiety occurs and how the anxiety occurs, and if there's restlessness with the anxiety, and if there's anxiety when hungry, et cetera, et cetera. So I really try to tighten it up and make it super simple by saying, just try the most commonly used homeopathic medicines for anxiety, insomnia, and that's, of course, Ignatia. And, of course, we can use this Avena Sativa. Okay. I've never used Avena Sativa in homeopathic form. I don't know why. I don't know. It's just I have found other medicines to work. It doesn't mean it's not useful. And if anyone's got it and they use it, and let me know. I'm sure it would work. I'm sure it would be beautiful. Does it help with autistic receptive behavior? It could be repetitive behavior. Maybe there was a a correction made automatically. If it's repetitive behavior, it could help a little bit to calm things down, but it's not going to help OCD. No, we talk about that in my mindful class, that if you're interested, you can go to that. And that's a little more involved, but it can be done. I've seen OCD calm down a great deal with homeopathic medicines by all means. Oh, and here's someone else. Is it good for OCD? Give it a try. Absolutely. Give it a try. So could it help children being overwhelmed by crowds? Yes, it could. It's very possible. Yes. It's definitely worth a try because it's what's so beautiful about these medicines, they're not addictive. They're not expensive. That's two good reasons. They're often curative. And they're easy to administer and they're easy to learn. Here are 5 good reasons. I can do it really quickly. Okay. All righty. Let's see if there are any more at the bottom. Did you see any more?
Addiction to alcohol.
Addiction to alcohol. Yes, you bet. Absolutely. Absolutely. It's part of addiction to alcohol. And Nux vomica is one of the best medicines.
You wouldn't use it in addiction. It's got alcohol.
Yes, you would use it in an addiction for alcohol. So, but then in that case, you wouldn't use it in alcohol form. So in that case, you might get Avena Sativa in capsules that is made from the actual oats, and then they take it in capsule form instead. But it's a great medicine for addictions in general, as well as for addiction to alcohol. It's Nux vomica, which is probably so sweeping. Nux vomica 200C for alcohol addiction is so sweeping and so all-encompassing. You may not even need the Avena Sativa for that person. But if you want to try it, by all means, give it a try. You see any other questions here, Perry?
No, that was it.
Okay, good. I think we've got a wrap. It's a beautiful thing. And so I'll see you next week. And we will continue in the Materia Medica so that you folks can learn. Share as much as you can with others, folks. We need this homeopathy to get out there. If you're not in a study group, consider it. They're very inexpensive and lots of fun, and you meet many other people. And it can all be done virtually. So wonderful to see you. Heart to you too. I love you all. I love the little bubbles that burst and the heart comes with the little faces. Bye, everyone. Mwah. God bless.